Hello and welcome
Hello.
to this Wednesday's Traveling Young
Wednesday.
back at home.
We are exciting times with this man who barked, I feel like, more than he's ever barked before in his life.
Yeah, he was barking in hotels. But we're going to talk about Stockholm and, well, Sweden in general.
Yes.
And some of the observations that we made, this is the first time we've been to Sweden in a while. Well, we had a very quick trip to Helsingborg, but otherwise,
But this
first
is the
time in a
first
while.
time we've spent, like, a long amount of time in Sweden.
Yeah,
I
so
feel like.
we thought we'd talk about some of the observations that we had. 5 things we noticed.
Yes.
Comparing it to Denmark.
Yes.
Number 5, the accents. Yeah, it's like the Swedish chef in Sesame Street or in the Muppets. How do you do that pretty good?
What?
Yeah, very much like that. Yeah, it's the Swedish fika.
And then we don't say that to make fun of people, but they do. There is that very distinct difference, and that's how I always know that somebody is speaking Swedish. It's like,
yeah, and some people would call it melodic. We call it
Yes.
sing-songy.
Sing-songy.
There's
It's
a term for you. Sing-song.
language.
Yeah, it's a Swedish fika. We stayed at Nakastranda.
He did that all week.
Oh,
And like
everything I read.
He'd start out in like a Swedish accent, and then it would
And
just
it's
turn
like-
into Italian.
And it's like, Nakastranda, yeah. And the language, too, is, I think it's the first time I've been since I've known some more Danish. And
yeah.
while there are definitely differences in the written language, there are some things I was actually able to pick up on.
Yeah, I was definitely able to read a lot more Swedish. Like I saw the fire trucks going by, and I could read that it said Greater Stockholm Fire, response, things like that. But spoken, still not the same. Like I still don't hear when people say that Swedish sounds a lot like Danish. I do not hear it at all.
Me neither. Okay. Number 4 is cars and traffic.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
driving, we drove there, and there was traffic on the way because of highways construction.
Yeah.
But then, boy, when we were in Stockholm,
There was so much traffic.
A ton of traffic in Stockholm.
Yeah.
I have a friend who lives there that we went out. She lives north of the city. Took us far longer than it should have to get there.
It was like being back in Chicago again.
Yeah, it was not. Danish Copenhagen traffic is nothing compared to this. And plus, it's like all these islands and bridges. So there's like only a few ways to get out of where you're going to somewhere else, which kind of becomes a bottleneck. So
yeah.
I was not. And now, granted, there were some special things happening in the city when we were there. So I didn't actually drive downtown because we stayed out of the city. But just getting around the town and stuff. It was just,
and there were a lot more tunnels and stuff too, because they had to just go. It's so much more mountainous there, and they have to just go straight through kind of all of these mountains and things. So there's lots of tunnels and all kinds of stuff.
A bit Stockholmish, but there was definitely traffic even getting to Stockholm on the highway because of some construction.
Yeah.
Number 3 is people in crowds in Stockholm. There was just so many more people.
Yeah, it was a lot more people. Like towards the end of being there, I was kind of missing Copenhagen a little bit because it is so much. It just feels less crowded, and it does feel a little more intimate, I think, in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Stockholm is very much a city. Like, not that Copenhagen's not a city, but it just felt like kind of the difference between, I guess, New York and Chicago. Like, New York is just, there's so many people.
Well, and there's at Stockholm, there's like a pretty significant sized subway line, and there's a tram, then there's trains, and there are buses, and there's boats.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many different ways to get around, and all those places were full of people. And just outside, granted the weather was getting nice, so just like Denmark, everybody's getting a bit more excited and want to be outside because it's not cold, but still. And also a note, there were far more dogs. Yeah. Not like out on the street, but in places. Like I'd go into a mall to get lunch and I'd see somebody sitting with their dog inside the mall.
Yeah, there were a lot of dogs places.
Like in restaurants, which is cool. We brought Brisket with us and he came with us to eat and into a few places. So
yeah, again, not to say that you can't do that in Denmark. Like there's of course numerous outdoor cafes, but we were seeing them inside malls and things, which is not.
Yeah, I mean, like
something you see.
I don't think I've ever seen a dog inside Ljungby Mall if they're allowed, but I went into this mall in downtown Stockholm, and every time I saw somebody with a dog.
Yeah. Less people.
Yeah, number 2 is alcohol and the Systembolaget.
This would not go down well
which
in Denmark.
Danes probably are aware of this. And it's funny because my old boss from a previous job lives in Helsingør, and he would talk about how Swedish kids would take the ferry over from Helsingborg to Helsingør to drink and buy beer.
Yeah.
And I never really, I got it, but I really got it now because it's kind of a pain to buy alcohol because you have to go to one of these Systembolaget, however you say it, stores. And it's like, so in the U.S., alcohol is different from state to state. They govern and manage it differently.
Yeah, I remember how weird that was when I moved to Tennessee and you in Virginia had grown up with like wine and beer.
What I was going to say is
stores.
You can get wine and beer in grocery stores, but liquor you have to get at what's called an APC store, which is like much like this place in Sweden that's run by the government, and that's the only place you can buy like rum and spirits and things, basically things above a certain level of alcohol. Whereas in Tennessee it was different. Chicago, you can buy a thing of vodka at the pharmacy. You can get alcohol anywhere.
We went to, where did we go? Was it Ohio where we went and they had a drive-through liquor store?
That was in West Virginia.
Yeah, but we went to a drive-through liquor store.
We didn't go through it. We saw it.
Yeah.
I didn't buy any.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this whole thing where you need to basically go into this special store, find one of these. And I talked to a Swede and they're telling me that they're all different sizes and grades, and you get more selection in some than others. The one we went in, I just went in to see it. There wasn't a ton of selection. I'm like, man, if this is all the beer I had to choose from, I'd be super disappointed.
Sad.
Here you can go anywhere. And actually, on a side note, we went when we saw David Ramirez, somebody that we really like in Helsingborg a few weeks ago. They were saying that they were told they couldn't even take alcohol on the stage and drink it on the stage in Sweden.
Yeah, that was
And
weird.
that they, as artists, were told, don't take alcohol on the stage. You're not allowed to.
I don't know. Maybe that's I feel like you could drink on the stage in Denmark.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
I think you can drink absolutely anywhere. You can drink probably in a porta potty if you wanted to, on a stage.
Yeah.
Any place. But this was interesting. So, I had a couple beers in like a restaurant, but it was kind of disappointing because we stayed in this nice place in the water, and we were eating outside a lot. We'd go to the store and buy food and bring it back and just eat outside the hotel. And I didn't realize this, and I wasn't anywhere near one of these stores, so I couldn't get a beer. So I drank something else. But anyway,
you had to make do.
Systembolaget is how I'm going to pronounce it. I feel like I'm 75% of the way there.
Yeah.
Just alcohol in general is definitely different.
Yeah.
And Number one. This is more of a Stockholm thing, I'd say.
Or coastal thing, but definitely Stockholm.
Definitely Stockholm. Water everywhere.
Oh my goodness. Because there's islands everywhere. And you have to get to the islands, and you need a boat. Yeah,
it feels like in Copenhagen, like a lot of commercial traffic goes around, doesn't go through the harbor of Copenhagen. But in Stockholm, everything was going through there. There were massive cruise ships that would go by.
Yeah, that was the most wild thing, was the cruise ships coming in.
And there was a big military thing that we saw with a big, huge aircraft carrier that went by.
We were there when the USS Kearsarge came in, rolling in from the U.S. It came into port for a little bit. So that was really awesome to see.
The harbor is so much wider in Stockholm that makes it, and there's just boats everywhere. I feel like, now I'll say this, I've been to Stockholm a few times before, and I flew and took the train to the city and stayed next to the train station. Yeah. And in that scenario, you can basically hardly see the water.
You never see it, yeah.
But we were in this place that we took the ferry every day to the city to go to. I'm sorry. We weren't in any place. We were in Nackastrand. See, that was more Italian. It's Nackastrand. Mangia, Nackastrand. No. And it was, so we were on water all the time. And then I was appreciating it more. And I felt like the way I feel like it is in Copenhagen is it's like it's there for leisure. Yeah. Like to get into the water and swim, or to take like a cool boat around the canals. Yeah. And otherwise it's just kind of annoyingly in the way because you got to find a bridge to cross over.
I mean, there are no water taxis.
Yeah, but I've never been on one. I just walk and cross over a bridge, and people on bikes.
Need them, yeah.
Whereas in Stockholm, like There
was no getting away from it.
Yeah, if you're on one side of the wide part of the harbor to the other, you got to get on a boat.
Yeah.
And it's just water everywhere, which I think is kind of a cool feature.
Yeah.
But I think it's cooler not living there. If I was there dealing with that all the time,
maybe it would be
especially
really
when like January, February.
But it was fascinating on when it was, the really nice days, and you would have like a cruise ship going by at the same time as at least 2 or 3 ferries, and probably a couple speedboats, maybe a couple sailboats, and then some poor guy trying to make it in his little tiny fishing boat that just constantly looked like it was going to capsize. But like all of that on the water at all times.
Yeah. I mean, it's just tons of boats. Tons of boats.
That was crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was cool. I think this time of year, longer days. I mean, it was neat. And actually, I think, the cost of riding the ferry was pretty comparable to what we pay here.
Yeah,
and it was just like... So. Here, where it's good, not like you get like a ticket for 75 krona, Swedish krona. 39 Swedish krona for the day for one ride.
Yes.
And it's good for 75 minutes, and you can ride it on the ferry. Then you can get on a subway, you can get on a tram, you can get on everything in that amount of time.
It's quite nice.
But we got like a week thing for like, I think it was like 400 krona for the whole week, and we can just use it for a week. So it's actually pretty affordable. But yeah lots of water. Yeah, lots of water. So I know there's a ton of other differences, obviously, between Sweden and Denmark, but these are just quick things that we noticed, like right off.
Yeah.
Having spent a week there and having lived here, and the little things that you just kind of pick up on. Another little honorable mention is I felt like there was more variety of less expensive food. I would say.
Yeah, there was lunches, a lot of, tons of little cafes.
Maybe it's because there aren't like catered lunches like there often is at work in Copenhagen. But there were like tons of little cafes that had a lot of different types of food for lunches that wasn't expensive, which was nice. But yeah, anyway, I'm sure there are other things. Tell us anything else that you can think of that's nice things. Let's not get into the Danish Sweden stuff.
And don't worry, we're not going to go to Sweden.
Yeah, by the way, we're not moving to Sweden. No. This is just a fun little experiment to spend a week there. But yeah, anything that's interesting or a place in Sweden that you think we should visit, because we definitely, we'll be back on occasion. And I know there's some cool castles and stuff that I would like to see.
I really want to go see the really, really poorly taxidermied lion.
Yeah, that's close to Stockholm, so... We'll have to go all the way over there, which is pretty far away. All right, we got a couple more things that we'll post from the trip, some actual video from the trip and some of the things that we did, but...
We promise it won't be overwhelming, because
it won't be.
know...
Maybe we'll spread it out over time.
Yeah, we know how much you love Sweden.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and there you go. Brisket is just on my nerves.
Okay, he's everywhere today.
I don't know what else to say. He's distracting me, so we'll just say goodbye. We'll see you.